Today is Saturday, December 16th, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the Listener Feedback Show for Survivor 45, Week 12.
The Listener Feedback Show for the penultimate episode, the pre-finale feedback show. So we're going to talk about the episode just before the end and hear what the superfans are thinking, how the end is going to play out.
I really haven't given it much thought yet, too much.
No, I have. I've been thinking about it. I just don't have answers. But that's why I'm happy the other superfans are here, because with their guidance, they're going to lead me to maximum points. That's the plan.
Mm-hmm. I get unruly sometimes, no matter what everybody says. I agree with everything everybody says.
Oh.
That's the problem.
That's not unruly.
It's like, yeah, I can say. No, but what I mean is I can go, yep, I'm going with that one. I like that theory.
Windsock.
And well, that, and I'll go, no, I want to go against what people are thinking. I want to see if I can figure something and then
be a contrarian.
No, I don't want to be a contrarian.
That's the very definition of what you said. Go against what people said.
Yeah, but not for them, just for me.
Okay.
I think that doesn't make me a contrarian, because contrarian wants people to, see and know and hear and all your contrariness.
I see.
I do it just for me, because I'm like, yeah, let me think. Let me do this. I'll try this. Wouldn't that be exciting if this happened? And I don't know.
Indeed. I think we're
stupid stuff in my head.
We're in luck. We've got 16 super fans that wrote in or called in or recorded their own feedback and sent it in for this episode. So we got plenty to chew on before that finale.
All right. Well, let's get to it.
First up, we got a call with Pete.
Joanne and Stacy, this is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow, Final 5. Finale's next week, right before the holidays. So I'm going to let out a great big woo! And wow, I honestly thought Mama Julie was going to get snuffed by Probst, but it was finally Drew, red-haired Cochran lookalike Drew, that got blindsided right before the finale. And you know what? It felt delicious heading to Ponderosa. Giddy up. And as Kelly and Kendra said, he looked pissed. I'm curious how the greeting it was for him at Ponderosa, and I'll check out his interviews for sure as well. But let's lay it down, guys. I wish Julie found the idol. Of course, Jake found it. He's going to play it when he doesn't need it, because it's only good for Final 5. I don't think it's going to help his resume much at all unless he wins the challenge or he somehow can get rid of Dee or Julie. I can only see him winning if it's him, Katurah, and Austin in the Final 3, which is very unlikely. I don't think Jake really could win it, to be honest. I could see Katurah win it if that's the Final 3. That's it, though. Really, to me, Dee is number 1. I've been saying it for the past several episodes. I know I sound like a broken record. She's won 2 challenges. The girl is a great social player. I think she's a great actress, too. She should win an Emmy, showing Drew and Katurah at trying to separate herself from Julie, even though that was not the case at all. Kudos to her. I think as long as there's no drastic change or setback, she's winning. Mama Julie is next, but what worries me for her is I could see her losing in a fire-making challenge to one of the guys, Austin, maybe even Jake. She's the next one. Then after that, it's between Austin or Couture. I think actually Couture got a slimmer chance than Austin, because that medallion, whatever you want to call it, there with Drew, turned out to be a waste. He didn't have a good read there in tonight's tribal. And Jake is going to get the bagel vote, kind of like Xavier did in 41. Made too little too late there. I think Dee's going to win. Julie is a close second. And then the other ones, good luck. Probably going to get zero respect from the jury, in particular from Kendra and Kelly. So I think Bruce is going to scold Couture if she's at the end. I could see that coming for sure. But I think Dee's going to win it, and she earned it if it is her. Not that I'd say this is a great season, but I feel like it redeemed itself a little bit. But I enjoyed it, guys. Looking forward to a fun finale, and then we're going to hit this. Bring on the champagne after the winner with pizza, which is kind of odd now since there's no more reunion. Should be good, though. Knocking on wood. Take care. Woo!
Whoa.
Yeah, no reunions. I kind of miss that, just if nothing else, to see
The change.
the change in them,
Yeah.
you know, and see some of their family are with them, and just more how they are in their real life.
Yeah, well, budget era Survivor, no more.
This is what you get.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to get it, so.
Yeah, a lot of people are. The ratings are still doing really well. It's a little over 5 million a week, which is good for a TV show nowadays. Not that there aren't YouTubers that do more than that all the time, but
not that I wouldn't, if I were around Probst, that I wouldn't say Ponderosa Videos Probst, bring them back.
spend a little.
Come on.
Yeah.
That doesn't cost that much. The fans love it. That's just wrong.
You know, Pete was talking about how Bruce would bust Coutura's chops if she were there, but she did. Even we were just watching some videos beforehand, and she's prepped for that kind of a player before the season even began. She knew how she would talk to someone like Bruce and placate him. So that would just, I would love to see her get there just for that.
You were such a big threat. I had to vote you out. That's how she would plan to get the vote, is to, instead of saying, you were such a jerk, I can't stand you, and
none of us
I had
can
to put up with you, she'd be like, oh no, we had to vote you out. I could never win against you. I thought, and we both said, yeah, Bruce. Mm-hmm.
She wasn't specifically talking about him in the preseason. She just knew from her observations of how juries go
that's who
there would be
came
someone
to
like
mind.
that. It did fit that pattern extremely well.
Yes, it did. Okay. Thanks, Pete. Up next, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. It's hard to believe that the finale is already here. Even with longer episodes this season, it really came up quick, and I think we're in store for a really good finale. So here's some of my predictions for how I see things maybe playing out. I think it's undeniable that going into the finale, Dee is by far the smartest pick for winner this season. I think if she's there at the final three, she wins, and it would likely be unanimous. There's been a lot of chatter among the players that Julie would be a big jury threat, but Julie realistically only stayed in the game because Dee wanted to keep her there, and I think that's something that Dee can hold over Julie's head going into the finale. I would love to see my USB Austin win this season, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the most likely scenario for him winning is if he goes to the finale with Jake and Couture. I'd love to see him wake up and snap out of the puppy love he's in and get rid of Dee, but unfortunately I don't think that's happening. If it did, I think with a good finale, he could beat out Julie in the final three, so here's to hoping. I think the biggest wild card going into the finale is Jake, and what is he going to do with his idol? I mean, Jake has a very small chance at winning, but he could really have a huge impact with his idol. I think he understands his position in the game, and he really wants to make a big play, so I could see him playing his idol for someone else if it can be seen as a big move. And we have to assume at this point that no one's aware of his idol. So if we think of the immunity challenge, if Dee or Austin win, I think they're probably going to have the Reba 3 decide between Katurah and Jake who goes home, especially if Dee wins, because I think she's content to go to the end with Julie because she knows she can beat her. So if they debate between Jake and Katurah and they put all of their votes on Jake, if he plays his idol correctly, who does Jake vote for and who ends up going home? You have to imagine in that scenario would be Dee. That would be really interesting. But I think the much more likely scenario is Jake misplays his idol, none of the votes are on him, and it's kind of a nothing burger. So that's more so what I'm betting on, but I think it would make for an interesting finale if Jake could blindside Dee. And I think that would be the biggest move in the game, and it could possibly win him $1 million. So we'll have to see if that happens. But having said all that, my current projection for the final 5 is I have Dee winning, Julie coming in second, Austin coming third, and Jake and Katurah pulling up the rear. So that's it for me. And I look forward to hearing all the other fans' predictions, and hopefully we get a great finale. You guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, that seems like a pretty reasonable order.
It does, but I was hoping that they would shake that up some.
Yeah. Well, like he was saying, the ideal shakeup would be Jake gets to pop Dee.
Or Julie.
And then Julie gets taken out at fire making. He decides to take her out to go against. He either gets put against her or he decides to put himself in that role, and he takes her out in fire making.
Who? Austin?
Julie.
Oh, Julie.
Yeah. So he's taking out the two biggest threats, Dee and Julie.
Oh, you're talking about Jake still?
Yeah, what Robert was saying.
You think he's going to win the endurance challenge?
No, but he's got the idol. So he uses and unbeknownst to them, Drew said in his interviews, no one knew that Jake had the idol. So he pops Dee at 5 with a surprise idol, and then beats Julie at fire making at 4 to put himself, Austin, and Katurah in as the final 3.
But he's not that good at fire.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is a way. Like Robert said, what are the chances that he actually takes Dee out with his idol? The chances are much better that he Charlie Browns it yet again and misplays it on himself to no effect, because he's yet to have any agency or to make good moves that deliver results in the course of the season.
Yeah, and I think his main goal is to make it to the Final Four, so he probably would play it for himself, because he has to play it. Mm-hmm. Though he could utilize it to do something different, but I don't think he will.
But like Robert was saying, something will cause him to misinterpret what's going on. He just does it for the safety of it, and it doesn't end up catching any votes because Julie gets voted out. I don't know, or Katurah. The catch with, say, Jake gets his dream, he takes Dee out with his idol at 5, beats Julie at fire making in 4 to put himself into the final 3, and he's sitting there with Austin and Katurah. The catch with that is that's going to put 5 women on the jury, and the women were talking earlier about how they wanted a woman winner, so that could give Katurah the win. Even though Jake just made those 2 great plays at the end, she's just got to not completely self-destruct in the course of her final tribal council, and then she might get it because they want a woman winner.
Dee said in one of her interviews that she would rather vote for somebody she liked at the end.
Yes.
And even over somebody that played a really good game if she didn't like them, and somebody else was there she liked better. Well, that was human nature. Give it to the person you like better.
Sure.
So.
I don't expect much from Drew as a jury member. He said in his exit interviews that once he got voted out, he said that he wasn't angry. He said that he was humiliated, and that's really where his reaction was coming from. And he said when he got to Ponderosa, he was done. He was checked out, and he didn't even stay in contact with the cast once they got back until late in the summer. He reconnected with them, so he just checked out of the whole thing.
Well, that feels like straight up ego, to feel humiliated and...
Yeah.
That he had set that up by being so confident and then got
whacked, thumped.
Yep.
Yes.
So I understand the embarrassment, but that's something in life you just have to get over.
Yeah.
And he will. But he's 22. Probably takes him a little longer to realize and process.
Just you have to be humiliated a bunch more. eventually.
Yeah, eventually go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of how that worked. Good
That's
deal.
why sometimes I'll mess something up and you'll say, do you want me to take that out? I'm like, nah, who cares? It might make somebody laugh.
Yes.
Leave it in.
All right. Thanks again, Robert. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Let us put men and women together, see which one is smarter. Some say the men, but I say no. Women got the men like a puppet show. Oh, I love Dee. How wonderful was she in that physical, amazing challenge? Smack talking to her little boy, Austin, going, you tired? You gonna step down? You shaky? She's just amazing. I think she's gonna win. I think I'm in the majority thinking that Dee is going to win. She is smart. She is cunning. She is strong. And I think she's played an amazing game. But what I think is the biggest indication that she's going to win is she did not make the tragic mistake that Austin made and play with her heart and give away secrets that could change the game. She stuck to her guns. She knew that she had to do strategy, and she didn't let her affection for the cute boy on the island sway her. She's a boss. I think she's fantastic. My prediction going into the final is it's going to be Dee first, Katora second, Jake no vote third. Kind of feel like Julie fourth, Austin fifth, because I think Dee is going to continue and vote him out and make amends later. I was watching it going, don't tell him, don't tell him. Don't tell him. And then when he went to play his amulet, I was watching him going, don't give it to Drew. Don't give it to Drew. Don't give it to Drew. So finally, after 2 weeks of losing safe points, I got a vote out point. Hooray. I feel pretty good going into the final. I am getting this in early because we are flying to Oahu tomorrow for the winter. We'll be back around March, and my poor employers are still weak as kittens from COVID, so I'm doing all the heavy lifting and literally doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's about 7 a.m. in California right now, and I started my day about an hour ago, so I'm off and running until we get on that plane tomorrow. Can't wait to see the final. Can't wait to hear everyone's feedback. Oh my gosh, but especially, Jeremiah, please tell us all about what it was like meeting Jeff Probst, because how exciting. That seems wonderful. I'm glad they finally made a move and broke up the Reba 4. Thank God. Otherwise, it was just going to be padong, boring, boring, boring. Now we got a game. Now we got a game. All right, can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say. Happy Survivor, everybody. Thank you, Joan and Stacy. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Rebecca. What a terrible burden to have to pick up and move to Hawaii for the winter months.
Yeah.
That's just tragic. Well,
Yeah.
we hope you work through all that.
We hope you're able to bear it.
Drew said in one of his exit interviews that they had made plans to go after. It was fair game to go at each other for the Reba 4 at the final 6, but he pulled that trigger early, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Going at Julie a little too soon.
Yep. Well, I too kind of think they might go after Austin.
That would be so smart. Why?
Because they might not could beat him in a challenge.
Because it's a vote for D. That's why.
Well, yeah, that.
Assuming he'll get over it. But he was like, son of a gun, she got me. Well, I got to give her the million.
Oh. Well, that would be a reason not to vote him out, not a reason to vote him out.
No, I mean, that would be totally the reason D would take him out. So
Oh, well.
she's just got to beat him in that challenge.
Oh, that's hardcore.
That's what Rebecca was talking about.
I know, but whew, for a vote.
Yeah.
To be the primary reason.
Yep.
I was thinking more that, they would want to have better odds at winning the final challenge so that they get to say who goes. And he looks like the biggest threat.
Yeah, he has
I don't know
the
that
whole
he is,
season, but
he
he's
looks
not.
like it, so.
He's not the deliver hero guy. He's not that archetype. He just looks like it.
Yeah, I don't know if the Reba 3 will stick together like they planned and go to the final. I think truly Dee thinks she could beat both of them.
Yes.
And I think she can too. So it might just be easier for her. But it's Julie that I think is going to decide to pair up with the other two, Jake and Katura, and try to go after Austin so that Dee has no struggle choosing her over Austin.
Yeah, that's clever.
So Anyway, that's kind of how I thought it would go. But will they take Jake? Well, that depends. I think then they would, if Austin goes out fifth, I think they would, to me, it's more likely that Julie or Dee would win anything endurance. And they would then pit Jake and Katura against each other building fire, which they've been practicing together. So
Katura wins, and it's an all-women final three.
there you go.
With your woman winner, Dee. Good
Well,
stuff.
that would be one way to ensure that a woman does indeed win this
bet.
season. So
The math checks out.
Yeah. But it really comes down to who's going to win the fire making.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Alrighty.
Next up, we got a call from Bianca-n-Haydn.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey, this is Hayden
And Bianca.
from Adelaide. What do you think, Bianca?
Yay, I feel good that Jake's gone.
Drew's gone, and I'm happy about that too.
Drew, yes. Sorry. Yeah, I'm really happy. He just seemed like the easy one to pick.
Yeah,
Or-
very smart guy and entertaining. He was a good storyteller, but very arrogant and smug. And
so
didn't like
smug.
Him. Didn't like him from the start.
Neither did I. I thought like, oh, I'm from an Ivy League, blah, blah, blah. And I just was, nah. But I thought, good move by everyone. But even the blind side just felt not as satisfying as I was hoping. Maybe because everyone was on the same.
Well, we sort of expected it was. We kind of knew it was happening, didn't we? There was a little bit of tension whether or not Austin would play the idol for him, but it was pretty predictable that was what was going to happen.
Yeah, I just feel like the only bit of tension was when Austin got up to play his amulet idol. And
Yeah, that was good. Is he going to play it for himself or is he playing it for Drew?
yeah, so I guess it was good. He had to play it anyway. So, but yeah. What do you think about Austin's choice of the three to stay?
Yeah, that was very clever. Pick the
Yeah.
three that don't get along. They were never ever going to work together to come up with any plans to go against him. So
Genius.
that was very smart. And I've noticed Austin's games. He's got some good game, I think. If he can stop.
It's just clouded by D.
It is, yeah. If he
Yeah.
can get past that being so smitten and think clearly, he'd probably be playing a little bit better.
Yeah, if she actually wasn't there, I think he would be just a bit more ballsy, a bit more hard and cold. But yeah, he's...
And again, I think we haven't seen the best of him because he hasn't really been tested yet. He's had a pretty cruisy game. But I think perhaps in this season where there haven't been that many strategic players, maybe he is one of the stronger ones?
Yeah.
Maybe? Who knows?
Yeah, that's it. And I still am happy with Jake.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious when they were looking for the peppers and they said, oh yeah, I need some spice in this game, and looking under rocks and actually idol hunting. So, and yay, he did find one. So good
Yeah, I
on
was
him.
happy about that. Yeah, he's good. Adds a bit, Jake. I like him.
I agree. I
He's
think
the
he's
underdog.
trying.
He's had a rough game. He's been
It
trying to
has been
play
rough.
and it hasn't worked for him.
So yeah, I'm still going for him. I think it's good, and I still really like Julie as well. But I don't think she's going to make it. Unless Dee really does protect her, or she wins the immunity challenge. Yeah, I don't know.
So what's your prediction? Who's winning this thing?
I think Dee is looking pretty strong. Been calling all the shots mostly. So yeah, I find that hard to see her not winning. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got the strongest game on paper.
Yeah, Katura, if she makes it, she's got a good story, but she really hasn't had a survivor story, so...
Yeah, I can see her winning though, somehow.
Yeah, maybe. So I can't wait to see what happens and listening to everyone else. So thank you so much, Stacey and Joanne. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Bianca. Thanks, Hayden. I was envisioning a Julie win as they were going through the different iterations there. They take out Austin at 5, then Julie takes on Dee for fire making, having won the Final Four immunity challenge, and beats Dee at fire making to go on to a Julie, Jake, and Katura final 3. Julie wins.
Julie wins. Yeah, that would definitely be a Julie win if she took Dee out. I too think Dee will win. But if she doesn't get there, she won't. So, Yeah. Well, my thing too, I want to say Austin 5th, but he could easily win immunity too. So.
Yeah, just did. So, yeah.
Yeah. So
Or
there's so many
one before.
variables.
Absolutely.
It can happen. You just have to make a choice and go with it.
Yeah. Imagine what the ending you want to see or you think is the most likely.
Or
those can be wildly
fun.
different choices. Most fun.
Most fun to cheer for.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Imagine that path. Make those votes.
And if you play in JSFL, because there's so many points, it's fun.
Yeah. Thanks again, Bianca and Hayden. Next up, we got an email from Mary from Maryland.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry the season and our time together is winding down, but I look forward to one more week of discussion.
You bet.
It sure will be an action-packed finale, and I have no idea what to expect. It was nice to see Jake have a glimmer of positivity and success in this episode. I agree. Good for him for finding the idol. Not sure what stripping down to his underwear had to do with it, but glad he had that moment.
That was his cover story. He was going to change.
Yeah. Clearly, Dee has gameplay and winning as her number one goal, and the relationship with Austin is a secondary priority, as it should be. For Austin, it's the reverse. The fan fiction I had in my head for this week was that Dee would be in danger and Austin would play his amulet idol for her. I had that same thing.
Dun, dun, dun,
and
the
get
hero.
voted out himself. Obviously, that didn't happen. I enjoyed that they got a somewhat more exciting reward than going to the sanctuary, but it's a far cry from the old days of amazing trips and having a day spent with the locals. Emily sure did look mad or upset on the jury. It'll be interesting to hear how the jurors are feeling when we get to hear them speak. I'll be interested to hear what the other fans think. Just about anything could happen in any order. I will probably pick Dee or Julie to win, but could see a come from behind Jake or Katura win as well. Until next week. All right, Mary, you got some pondering still to do. Up next, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, Joe and Stacey and all the Spider fans. Hope everyone's well and safe. Let's just start with the beginning of the episode. What was that cringe jump all about by Julie? I think her doing that, the interactions from Kendra, the 3 quits, I think they've all built to a really quirky camera pandering season. I don't remember people being so camera focused and being so self-aware as now. I don't know if it's like the profile of players that they've been looking for, and it's the evolution of the game and with regards to social media, or just that self-awareness that they're building themselves an identity outside of the game, and maybe to want to come back. Maybe that's important for them. An inept season overall, and I think we talked about that last week. I think what compounded that for me was something that Julie had said, saying that the Reba 4 being at the very end together is a smart play. And I just think that is just so far gone from what is a smart play. And I'm just concerned with the level of gameplay. But what can you do? Speaking of that, Katura talking about her resume maybe showed some foresight, but maybe also the lack thereof. The timing of finding idols, I find, is strategic in itself. Gone are the days where you could just walk away early or late and not be in danger of being caught finding an idol. Like, the concept of idols is so ingrained in the game now. It's been like 13 years, right? Maybe 25, 26 seasons worth of hidden mini idols. That anyone is aware if someone's not in bed that they've gone to look for an idol, which just shows that you've got some sort of desperation. I don't know if that then feeds back into then the jury, because people have seen that. Those people are likely to be on the jury that do see you doing those things. And I think the only people of recent history to benefit from finding idols out of desperation was maybe Ben, who got those 3 in a row and won in the end. But switch to the challenges. I think the challenges have impressed me. I think the originality finally changing their ways, and I'm happy that Jeff and Co have taken the feedback on board. But then let's pivot to Austin. I know what our boy is doing, but he's got no idea what Dee's done behind his back. Dee's lied now multiple times. We saw it in this episode, we saw it last episode. It's good strategic play by him, divulging the mechanisms behind picking who, but the implications, look, we saw that at the very end. I thought the hiding the immunity idol was really ingenious as well, kind of like brought me back to, when I was younger and I used to do the geocaching, so quite intelligent. Many machinations. I have a feeling that Austin is actually going to go up 5. I don't think Dee's going to take him to the very end. And I then think in fire, there's a high possibility Dee goes to fire. I just have a feeling that Jake will win that Final Four immunity, and then we'll put Dee in there. I think Dee will win fire, and I think Dee will win the season. I think it's been kind of evident throughout. I think they've been giving her a good edit towards the end. It's been evident. So thanks for all you've done. I've had a really bad year in JSFL. I think this was my first 5-point week. So go me. But hey, maybe I can make a comeback again. Cheers.
Oh, darn, I wish he hadn't said that last bit, because I was thinking, yeah, that would be fun. That means Jake would go out 4. And then he says he hasn't done very well. Bummer.
Oh, so you can't build on his idea?
No,
I think there's something there.
I can. I do too. That's what I said. I was really liking that idea. So I thought, ooh, that would be interesting and entertaining and shake things up and create some real anxiety.
Mm-hmm. I always like these episodes, the listener feedback just before the finale, because we think of all these different
things
possibilities.
That could happen. Yeah.
So you just go in to the finale with all these fresh possibilities, I guess.
But I think that's part of the fun, though, in preparing for the finale, rather than just not thinking about it until it happens.
It's on, yeah.
Is, put a lot of different thought into, well, this could happen or that could happen.
You bet.
What if so-and-so did? And yeah, it just makes it more fun, and we spend a lot more time on it than,
Yes, we do.
than you would normally.
Yeah. Thanks, Shahin. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanna, Stacey. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. So my feedback has been kind of hit and miss this season, but I will say my picks have been pretty on point. In fact, this was another full points week for me. Kind of nice, edging me just a little bit further out of the basement. I accept that consequence. So this episode was stressful for me because there was a lot of Drew and Julie clashing, and in our house, we don't like to hear a lot of Drew and Julie clashing. If you know, you know. But I think that Julie is definitely, obviously, coming out ahead. I don't know. I just think that Drew just wasn't quite dialed in. I mean, I think the social game was bad. I just think he didn't really get it. A couple of things I've been really liking this season. Yeah, I think that some of the strategic moves have been kind of wah-wah, but I like people calling out Jeff for his talk show psychobabble BS. I like some of the fresh, different challenges. It was, I don't know, it's just a lot of really satisfying, but not really by the numbers blindside. So really, really liking things. I don't think Austin has a win in him. He's my USB 5 right now. So I'm not sure. I'm looking kind of at D. I'm kind of looking at Jake, you guys. I think Jake is really pulling together a strong game here at the end, either Jake or maybe Julie. So I am kind of expecting something along those lines. Yeah, just been watching. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. How long has it been since the podcast has been on YouTube? And how did I miss that? I've been just downloading the MP3 and listening to it on the road or on my workouts or whatever, but it's way more convenient on YouTube, and I don't know, I just missed that somehow. So if anyone doesn't know, there are obviously many avenues where you can listen to the show, and it's probably in the show notes, right by where I download the MP3. But now I know, and I will remember. So next, I think I'm gonna say probably Katura doesn't have it in her for the Final Four, and we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, I'm halfway through my run of A Christmas Carol, so I've been watching the show as soon as possible just because I know my evenings are going to be crazy busy. So I actually watched it during my workout today, and it took a long time with a lot of pausing and whatever. But I got through it, and now I got my views back in. So everyone have a great weekend. Looking forward to the finale next week. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Drew.
All right.
Yeah, that's been there for years.
Yeah, and it is indeed in the show notes every week.
Yep. So there, Spotify, the classic iTunes, anywhere that you have a podcast listener that gets an RSS feed,
Spotify, iTunes.
You can usually find it. I use something called Beyond Pod. We just post that the episode's been released. You can't actually listen to it on X.
Oh, you can't?
No.
I didn't know that.
On Twitter. X. That's so stupid. I guess in the process of ruining that company.
Okay,
anyway.
moving on.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, John and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. Well, we're down to the final 5, and I'm going to give you what I consider my ranking from least likely to win to most likely to win if they're sitting in the final 3. least likely Katurah. As entertaining as she's been in trying to get Bruce out all season, when it actually happened, she really wasn't the one that made it happen. That was Emily. And I just don't think she has anything on her resume. Then there's Julie, a.k.a. Mama J. A lot of people online think that she's going to win this, but when I'm watching her talk to the jury, I'm seeing a lot of eye rolling. Mm-hmm. She seems to maybe be sincere when she talks about how hard it is to vote people out, and she's tender-hearted, but I think it's coming across as insincere. Even her biggest move was orchestrated by D, so I'm saying no. Jake, the underdog, I'm saying he might have a 50-50 chance. He really doesn't have a good resume yet, although he was partially responsible for getting Drew out, but notice how he flubbed the Mama J vote the first time that got Caleb out. We know he's going to be in the Final Four, but unless he takes a big player out, and I'm thinking D or Austin, I don't think he has enough for him to win. Then there's Austin, 50% chance maybe. I think he suffers from the Xander dilemma, who they have had idols for such a long time that people were sort of forgetting about them and even voting for them. In fact, I don't think anybody has even voted for him all season. Having D as his closest ally has been good for his game, but also bad because it's proven a distraction. And I only think he is going to be able to win the game is if D is no longer in the game. I think this is D's game to lose. She's taken out anyone who's thrown out her name. She's been loyal to her 2 number ones, and she saved Julie, and she never wrote Austin's name down. I think whoever sits beside her in the final 3, she believes that she can beat them, which includes Austin, and I think she will. I think we will have a Robin Amber ending with her winning the game and winning the guy, and I think the women on the jury want a woman to win, and they will vote for her as sole survivor. But what if she's not in the final 3? Then I'm going to give it to Austin. He's my second choice USB, and he's been strategizing throughout the game with Drew, but he doesn't have a swelled head like Drew. Originally, he helped keep Julie in the game. He befriended Emily when she needed an anchor. I think he's been respectful of the other players. So if it's not D, I'm going to go with Austin. That's what I say. We'll see. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and we finally did it. We finally got rid of Ariba, and I finally got a 5-point week, but for whatever reason, it just felt unsatisfying. Maybe because it's taken this long to finally get one of them out? Well, duh. Especially after last episode when the Julie thing, clearly she's now on the bottom. Everybody voted for her, and she had the perfect opportunity, which that goes back on Emily a couple episodes ago when she should have kept Bruce, but she didn't. If she kept Bruce, she'd still be in this game. This Drew vote-off just felt like, all right, this happened. Now what? Maybe it's because he got completely buried in the edit and the whole episode is just, oh, look at Drew. He's so arrogant. In the past couple episodes, it's just been getting worse and worse, his arrogance and stuff. So it just felt, this wasn't a big moment. It was just, oh, of course, Drew gets voted out. I think Dee is probably winning this game. And if she does, she's a great winner. She's played a really good game and it's actually been told to us, which thank goodness for the longer episodes, they have actually gotten to tell the story of the probable winner. And if she doesn't win, then what are we doing? I could see a scenario where if this was just normal 45-minute episodes, her story doesn't get told as much. But this subplot with Dee and Austin's relationship is just so weird because for the longest time, it's all right. Yeah, Austin definitely has a crush on her, but Dee doesn't care. Or she's just using him. But in this episode, it's, oh, she's smitten. She likes him. And then at the very end, it's gotcha. She just lied to his face. I feel very bad for Austin, but a great move on Dee's part. But I just don't care about this showmance or relationship if it exists or if it doesn't. I could care less because I'm not very invested in either of them. Honestly, the person I'm most invested in is Jake, who at this moment probably has the worst chance of winning. But I just really like the guy. I think he's super fun to root for. And the rest of these people, I don't really care about rooting for, because they're not that interesting to me. Katurah's whole game has been, I hate Bruce until 2 episodes ago, which she had great moments 2 episodes ago, but if she wins, it's so unsatisfying. If she ends up being the winner, then there are huge problems with the edit, and the editing team needs to work on that. And if Julie wins, it'll kind of make sense. Austin, you'd think he'd be like this big character, but I feel like he's just been shoved under the rug so many times. And then D, obviously, the front runner. But Jake is actually fun. And yeah, he's been on the bottom, and I fully admit he's on the bottom. He's a bottom feeder. That doesn't mean he's a GOAT. That doesn't mean he's a bad player. A lot of good players in Survivor history have been on the bottom. Survivor's a really hard game, and sometimes you just don't have that much agency. It happens. And I think there's still a reality where he does win, especially if he uses that idol to get out D at the final 5. If that happens, he could very well win this game. It has to work out perfectly, but I think he could do it. He's my rooting interest, but in terms of who I think is going to win, it's obviously D. But I'm interested going into the finale, but at this point, a lot of my interest in this season has left because I feel like it's become a kind of a lackluster back half of the season. But if some crazy stuff happens in the finale, I'm all here for it. That's all I got. I will see you guys next time.
Thanks, Parker. Fingers crossed for some crazy stuff. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the super fans. This is Justin from Michigan. Good episode this week. I kind of felt bad for Drew. I've been kind of a Drew apologist for most of the season. I think people forget that he's actually the youngest person on the cast, 22 years old, and his cockiness or excessive confidence rubs people the wrong way because of his archetype of a nerd who's usually supposed to be timid or not sure of themselves. I think it just kind of shocks people that he is so confident, and so they get rubbed the wrong way, whereas a physically strong or better looking alpha male, when they exude that confidence, people are kind of drawn to it and they don't see it as a negative the same way they might the nerd archetype. I was sad to see Drew go, but I overall liked the episode. Looking ahead to the final 5 here, I think I'm just going to put it in order of what I want to see happen. So that, of course, is D winning. I think Jake will try to use his idol effectively. I think that might look like D winning immunity here at final 5. And then Jake saving Julie to blindside Austin. I think that's how I'm kind of coming up with it. So Austin 5th place. And then I do think it's going to be Jake and Katurah in the fire making. Jake loses. Katurah gets that redemption story of being in the final 3. And Jake continues on his story of just coming up short. So then it comes down to basically D versus Julie. I think D is able to take most of the votes. Julie might get a vote or 2, and Katurah either gets 1 vote or no votes. So D, Julie, Katurah, Jake, Austin is going to be my order for now. I might change it, but that's kind of what I've came up with so far, and looking forward to what everyone else has to say. It's been a great season. Like I said, it was hard to put these final 5 in order, and I still might change it because there's a lot of nuances with Jake's idol, who wins immunity, who goes to fire making, who wins fire making. So a lot can happen, and that's what makes it exciting. So looking forward to everyone else has to say. Thanks for all you do.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
I like that theory as well.
Yes. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, the Reba 4 alliance is cracked and Drew is gone. I can't wait for the finale. Here are my other observations. I always thought spit in the ocean was a bad thing. Sand spit. I get you. D could give Jake acting lessons. Indeed. Julie said she can't trust the Reba 4. Does that include herself? Many folks go on morning jogs. The tribe goes on morning idol hunt. Katurah has no resume, so she's banned from ZipRecruiter. Drew had to swallow his Julie rage. Post-vote out, he had to swallow his pride. Reba is planning a reunion tour. Their big hit was breaking up is hard to do. D will swear on anyone, including your friend's wife's cousin's neighbor's son's dog. Drew didn't want to be picked last. Wish granted. I'm betting that few future survivors will build a barrel course in their backyards. I'm with you on that one. Austin's and Dee's first date was on a helicopter. There's no place to go but down. That's good. Drew's a babysitter. The tribe gave Mama J the night off. Nothing says na 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 losers like a helicopter flyby. Did Drew throw it? Probst was really proud of himself for that. He really liked it.
Of course he did.
Did Drew throw a hissy fit, or was he practicing discus for the Olympics? Austin thinks D is cool. We know she's stone cold. Note to Drew and Julie, wanting a reward you know will make you puke is weird. In college, Jake performed a play in his underwear. That's an awfully small stage. Okay, that's good. Julie hunted for peppers under rocks. I'm not familiar with that variety. Once again, a crotch idol. The art department should shape one like an athletic cup. The pose and the barrel were in the challenges. Was Captain Morgan Rum a sponsor? That's true. Both of those, huh? That works. Drew's challenge saves looked like Ralph Macchio practicing karate katas on the dinghy. Only on Survivor would flirting manifest as trash talking during a contest. On day 23, the tribe gave Drew the 23 skidoo. Austin said losing to someone he cares about is good. Remember that for Final Tribal. Players saying not to tell someone is like telling a kid not to stick his fingers in a socket. Dee's worried about lying to Austin. She doesn't want to crush her crush. Drew said he was cruising to the final 5. Cruising for a bruising's more like it. Austin said the path has been too easy. The Survivor gods fixed that. Everyone has a final 3 that won't play out. Wait, Mike Tyson's their Survivor coach? Drew and Austin made a great duo, like Thelma and Louise or Butch and Sundance. They're going to end tragically, huh? Mm-hmm. Do we know if the tribe kept their stuff when they moved to their new island? We don't know, but they didn't have anything but their bags. Yeah. Drew sees visions of himself at Final 3. He's hallucinating. He needs to eat more. Dee said everyone knew about the blind side except the target. So Austin knew? Drew, most country bumpkins don't have your vocabulary. In the reward challenge, the tribe looked like circus bears on those barrels. Drew voted against Mom and got sent to his room. Jake says, whoa, a lot. Is he trying to get the lead role in Keanu Reeves' biopic? I'm setting the over-under for Drew's juror speech analogies at 2.5. I might take the under on that, given he said he checked out. Next time, the finale, will Jake be able to blindside Reba at 5? Will we see an all-lawyer final 3? That would be something. Tune in on Wednesday to find out. Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a quick call from Jill.
Hi, Joanne, Stacey. It's Jill here. But I just wanted to mention, when you were talking about the reward being on the sandbar and how the cameraman and the producer must have had to hide in the helicopter. Years ago, there was a documentary about this journalist that went around all the bases on Antarctica, and the last shot of it is him jumping into the helicopter and the helicopter flying off, and him saying along the lines of, this is the last helicopter that's leaving Antarctica this summer as it all shuts down for winter. Actually, this is in the days before the internet. I actually sent him a letter and sort of went, what happened to the cameraman? Is he still there? And he did write back and sort of said that they used a bit of journalistic license and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, it just reminded me of that. So next week's the final, and I look forward to hearing you guys then. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Jill. Appreciate that story. Next up, we got a call from Jade-n-Christine.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Jade.
And Christine.
From Hawaii.
Aloha.
We're back after a couple of hectic weeks, and we forgot to put in our picks this week.
Yes, it was so busy. We just forgot everything.
But that's all right. We still enjoyed the episode.
Yes, it was so fun. We're going to go with some questions from your website, Joanne and Stacy. Jade, who is the jury most impressed with right now?
I think it's a toss-up between Julie and Dee. I have no idea what the jury is thinking, but you had mentioned that Kendra said that she is happy for Dee because she got the immunity.
Yes, they seemed positive that Dee was wearing the immunity necklace.
So. Yeah, so it could be Dee, but yeah, I don't know. I'm really not sure about this jury. Yeah, who's changed in your opinion? Like, have you changed your thoughts about any of the survivors?
Austin, poor thing. His trajectory is really sinking. Just seeing a lot of his decisions based on safeguarding this relationship he has with Dee. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it has to do with his issues of self-esteem or things that he's gotten over or whatever. He's very young, too.
Yeah.
I think Dee, though, will ultimately keep her eye on the prize and will bring that money home for her family.
Yeah, she is not going to let her emotions get in the way. You know who I wasn't surprised by? Drew.
Right.
If I'd remembered to put my picks in, I would have put Drew as my out.
Sure.
Yeah, he's always been a little bit arrogant, and the arrogant players often don't do as well. So, yeah, it didn't surprise me that he's on the jury.
Yeah, you really can't predict the way people are going to act.
Yeah.
Not robots.
I know. So, okay, let's game out our final five.
Okay, final five. I think actually Austin is going to be next.
You think Katura and Jake and Julie are going to get together and vote him out?
Yes, I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I could see that.
And Dee will probably be okay with it.
Yeah.
Katura's going to lose to Jake in fire making. And then Jake, Julie, Dee at the end. Jake's no votes.
Yeah, go.
Julie will be like 3-ish votes, maybe, and Dee's going to be the winner. That's my prediction.
Yeah. I definitely can see that. I think that might be my order. Maybe I'll put it in ASAP so I don't forget.
Yes, let's do that.
Thanks, Joanne and Stacey.
Bye.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Go ahead and get your picks in now. There's plenty of time to change your mind and mix it up if you decide you need to later. And Jade did let me know that was a dog growling, so that wasn't my stomach growling. That was one of their dogs growling.
This time?
Yeah, this time. Thanks, Jade-n-Christine. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, everybody. It's Jeremiah here with some feedback on this great episode where one of the Reba 4 finally goes home. And as I mentioned to you guys offline, the wife and I had an amazing opportunity to go to a private screening to see the episode on Tuesday night with a bunch of other Survivor fans, including Christy Shipley and Mike Kamira from the Survivor Fans podcast. Right. We all had gotten there. It was really neat. They had this urn where we could write on parchment some questions, and then we went into this little small private theater, and they had popcorn and candy for us. We watched the episode, and then, of course, as a surprise, Jeff Probst himself comes out and answers some questions from that urn, and it was a really cool experience. Towards the end of that part, Jeff would just start taking questions from the audience, and my wife, she decided to ask a question that kind of annoyed Jeff. She asked, whatever happened to luxury items? And he was, really? And he tried to blow her off by telling her how that there's nothing interesting about luxury items. Well, anyway, she pushed back, and then before you know it, he starts brainstorming and decides, what we could do is use luxury items down the road as bait, where if a player wins something, they may have to choose between their luxury item and maybe something like food or anything. And then he said, thanks for the idea. I'll make sure to take full credit for it. That was so funny. I just laughed so hard. Then we had an amazing reception afterwards. It was a really great evening, and we were very lucky to be able to take part of something like that. As for the episode itself, I thought it was a really solid episode. Of course, it was very satisfying seeing Drew finally go home after picking him so many different times. But for me, the best part about this episode was definitely everything that went down with Dee and Austin. This story was so much fun to watch and see it unfold. And I'll give credit to the editors on how well they handled all this. But seeing last episode, of course, where Austin follows his heart and goes with love instead of gameplay and makes a big mistake, but then this week Dee turns everything around by not following her island love and making the right call this week. Oh my gosh, I enjoyed that so much. It was so satisfying, and way to go, Dee. Now, what took me by surprise is how close Dee and Katura is. Did we know this? ? Makes me really rethink maybe what's going to happen here in the finale. So let's talk about those predictions for this final 5 in next week's finale. Well, at the moment, I have my power rankings have changed a little bit. I have Dee at number 1, Julie at number 2, Katura has moved up to my 3 spot with Austin and then Jake. I still don't think Jake's going, although maybe if he does something good with this idol, it could help him out. Now, that's not how I think exactly the final 5 will finish. So right now, the way I have things worked out is I think Julie is still our 5th person out, although I could see Austin being that person. We shall see. And then I think we're going to have a final battle of fire with Austin and Jake, and then Jake winning out in fire, but still being our 3rd place finisher with D on top and Couture in 2nd. That's my prediction for now, but I'm sure I'll change my mind. And until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Wow, that sounded like a lot of fun. What a great experience to get to check it out early like that and then get some time with Probst too. Good deal. Yeah, we have seen connections that Couture has made, and we were just watching the How Are You Gonna Handle the Jury videos for these final 5 that they recorded before the season started. Mm-hmm. And Dee's plan was basically to be the most likable person sitting there, because she said that counted for so much more. And she's right, because the social aspects of things are this invisible layer that we don't often get a lot of insights to, and the Couture D connection being a good example of that. D making that effort to have a connection with everyone. Kelly said that on her exit interview, that they had spent lots of time together talking and doing different activities and stuff that weren't highlighted. So that's part of Dee's appeal. She knows that, and she's been working towards that end since before the game started.
Before the game started, yeah. Because she said she planned to get to know every single person in the game and know something about them and just befriend everyone.
We know how powerful that is.
Yes, we do.
That's brought lots of wins over the years.
Whether the edit shows it to us or not.
And it almost never does. Yeah.
But
so
we
there's
find
a reason
out later.
Jeremiah's surprised. Yeah, even with the 90 minutes, you're still surprised, because they're still, when their primary objective is great TV moments, those kind of things get left on the floor.
But we did see her start working with Reba fairly early on.
Couture, when she realized that she had been completely...
When she needed to.
When she realized she'd been completely betrayed by her own tribe.
Yes.
At New Lulu, how they had all actively worked to keep her out of the loop. She's like, fine, I'll go elsewhere. And I think Dee welcomed her with open arms.
Sure.
Per her plan. Thanks, Jeremiah. Thanks for sharing all the extra details, too. Good stuff. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California, and here are my thoughts on episode 12. Good for Couture getting up and trying to find an idol. In that sequence, I started seeing the Reba 4 as like the mafia stalking her. I was a little unnerved by that. I think that Dee and Julie, as long as they don't tell their little secret that they're not really mad at each other, they have a lot of power in this game. I was really rooting for Jake to find that idol. He is scrappy. He's not giving up. He knows he hasn't been dealt a good hand in this game, and that he has to make a big play to earn the respect with the jury. So finding that idol is huge, and I hope he does something big with it. I liked the new immunity challenge. I thought it was awesome. I also thought that with Dee and Austin being the final 2 in the challenge, that Austin knew he could throw the challenge and make sure that Dee had immunity. Then they both would be safe. So I think that all that Austin moving around and wobbling and all the smack talk, I think it was just fake. I don't think it was real, and I think it was just Austin's way of throwing the challenge and trying to make it look like he didn't. Looking at the jury at the beginning of Tribal Council, there is no one on the jury that is happy to see the Reba 4 there, and I don't think anyone on the jury likes Austin. And in the end, Austin is blindsided and left out of the vote by his love Dee. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles that. He should be really pissed off. This isn't Love Island, Austin. This is Survivor. So, the only person who has really punched his ticket to the Final 4 is, amazingly, Jake. You know, I'm impressed by Jake. He has been down all season, but he has never counted himself out. He turned his game very practical and just looked to stay alive. Not everyone can play the game from the top. Obviously, if you play the game from the top of the pack and control it all, it's pretty much a slam dunk to win the million. If you can get there. It is just as difficult to make it to the end playing from the bottom when you're always potentially the next easy vote out. One kind of goat is someone who is at the bottom all the time and just does nothing and gets to the end and has no story to tell. Another kind of goat tries to make moves and they just never work out because they can't rally the numbers. There is always someone else more powerful in the game. May not have been successful taking over the game, but they do have a story to tell to try to convince the jury to give them the million. I think that Jake is this kind of goat, and if he gets to the end, whoever sits next to him should be a little worried. The former Bello tribe makes up most of the jury, and if they've had enough of a beef with the Reba 4 and how they were treated by them, Jake may just win the million if he's there. Survivor isn't a fair game. If you make it to the final tribal council and enough people vote for you, you deserve to win the million. It doesn't matter how you get there. So, having said that, I'm hoping that Jake doesn't tell anyone about his idol. If that's the case and they target Jake at the final 5, Jake is going to play his idol and take out Dee or Austin. Hopefully Dee, but even as I say that, I don't think that's going to happen. Right now I have as my final 5 order, Dee 5th, Austin and Katurah make fire, and Austin wins, so Katurah is 4th, Austin is 3rd with no votes, Jake in 2nd with a few Bella votes of respect, and Julie winning the title of sole survivor. That could change, but I had to put something in so I don't forget, and I thought I would put in something crazy because that's usually what happens. I always put in the rational predictions, and I'm never right, so I'm going with my crazy dream predictions. So there it is. I can't wait to watch the finale, and I can't wait to hear everyone's feedback on this episode. Till next week.
Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. I like to do something like that sometimes. So good for you, Jen.
Yeah, that's how you make it fun all the way to the end.
Now, what if the next on, where it showed Julie seemingly agreeing to work with Katurah and Jake, what if she's just fooling them?
Sure.
To make them think that she and Dee are still not working together, and then they blindside one of them.
Very possible. Although, is it really a blindside for Jake and Katurah at this point?
Yeah.
They have to be anticipating
it would be if they were convinced Julie was going after either Dee or Austin.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, it would be. But the thing is if Jake can keep it quiet.
Can he, though?
Can he keep it?
Because this is one of those times where it could benefit him, especially if he could draw all the votes.
Yep, and then he decides who goes.
Yes, that's really his power play.
And it gives him some agency.
Yes.
Because he made the play alone if he draws the votes. But
yes.
Will he do that?
It's a great 1-2 punch, and It's a little risky, but we'll see.
Okay.
Thanks, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here. It is raining like mad out there, and I had my feedback all recorded, and then boom, the power flickered, and it's gone.
Oh, no.
So let's go for round 2 here. I guess this is going to be a brief recap of what I already said. First off, I don't really know for sure if Austin knew how that vote was going to go because of his face after the votes were read. I think perhaps the bloom may be off that particular showmance. Now, Drew being gone is fine with me. I was never a fan. He just fell into a great position, and, well, I never saw him contribute much as a player. When he and Jake got into it at the beach in the last episode, or was it 2 episodes ago, and then when he was so upset about not being picked to go on the reward in this episode, well, let's just say that he rubbed me the wrong way. But that helicopter flyby, I just have to say, wow, that was in poor taste. And whether you agree or not, I think we can all agree that it was at least on the line of it. So my USB is D, and I'm here trying to figure out a final 5 order that gets from A to B to C and to D winning. Wow. And, that fire challenge is making this so hard to reason things out for me. But I think that Jake needs a move, and playing that idol that he found for himself is not the move he needs. Actually, I don't think any move is enough for him at this point. And the same for Katurah. These two have been dangled along by short leashes lately. So, with Red's alliance in a shambles, I think that Jake and Katurah are going to be very popular. I also think that Dee and Julie are going to stick together and that they'll need to get rid of Austin. So, he's my next to go at number 5. And you know what? That's not what I said in my first lost feedback. So, how did I get here? My train of thought for the final 5 is all over the place. I have to pick Dee as the winner just because of points, but if Julie can get to the final 3, wow, I think she has it. I suspect that Julie and Katurah will be making fire, and that Katurah will win because didn't we see her make fire early on? So what then? That's a Jake, Dee, and Katurah final 3? Jake gets no votes, Katurah snags 1 or 2 from the blue jury, and Dee wins. Actually, I might actually be selling myself on this latest theory here, but wow, am I ever open to suggestions. So everyone enjoy the show, and instead of saying bye, I'll leave with a help me, because I'm not sure of what's going on.
Well, thanks, Paul. Thanks for sticking with it and getting the second version in this time, too. We appreciate that.
Well, even if somebody knows how to make fire, doesn't mean they'll do well under those circumstances.
You know what I flashed on, too, when he was talking about that was What if Jake ends up in fire making and he passes out again?
Oh. No.
I maybe he even wins because the fire keeps going after that. But
Well,
I guess they would call it as soon as he passed
not
out,
to
right?
breathe in smoke or.
Oh, that would be so like him too.
Well,
he's going to tell Keturah, and she's going to pull the football away from him again and mess up his idol play because she'll be like, "No, that'll give him too much cred. I have to sabotage him again."
Well, as far as Keturah beating Julie, I don't know. Julie does a lot of the cooking of the rice, doesn't she? But does she make fire?
To hear Drew tell it, he did a lot of that cooking too.
Yeah, we saw him doing some of the cooking. But anyway, Keturah and Jake were both struggling to make fire when they were practicing.
That's my only recollection. I don't remember seeing her make fire early on, but there's so much of the early part of the season I was actively trying to forget.
And that tribe was so messed up that...
Bella? No, Bella was kind of fine. She was on New Lulu, if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, she was on New Lulu, not old Lulu. I was thinking that she was on Lulu. But you're right. The roster tells me differently.
Yes. I was thinking back to something Shahin said, too, as we were going through the last few feedback. And he was talking about the jury and how they're going over the top with their reactions. And I'd forgot to mention, I think I said something while he was going through it, but Eliza Orland's really perfected that in her season, in season 9.
The eye roll.
Well, and then in the big eyes, the reaction shots. And she's the first one that I remember really nailing it. And of course, you had Micronesia. And so she was, in full effect in both at Tribal Council and in the jury. So.
I think what it is some people, like Eliza, was a little more obvious than others. I think there were a lot of people conscious of aiming for the camera. But sometimes they were a little bit more subtle. These guys are not subtle at all.
Well, and
with the big,
Eliza's expressions were so big that, so they're right in that same category. But they were doing it all along in the season, too. Every time, they come in for a challenge and there's a reaction.
Yeah.
Kelly and Kendra and a whole bunch of them were doing the big faces, and they must ask them to do that. I don't. Would they really go out of their way to do it? Yeah,
sure. Oh, react now. Be happy.
It's just you guys.
Be
We need
excited,
some reactions.
Be happy. We gotta,
remember.
we gotta pump them up for the challenge. Come on. So I'm sure they're all very aware of that, and they're trying to give them what they want. So, and get more camera time. Hey.
Yeah, Keturah's been actively undermining Jake for several episodes now. I expect that to continue. He'll probably make the mistake of saying something to her since they're both scrambling.
Okay.
Although he doesn't have to. This is the one time where he doesn't need anyone. If he can just pull enough, if he can pull even the majority votes towards him to cancel out and cast his to potentially set things in a different direction.
Okay, here's my final order of the moment.
Okay.
D first, Julie, Keturah,
So
Jake.
all women's final.
Yep.
Okay.
Jake and Austin.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
What's yours?
The logical part of me has to go with D for the win, and it almost doesn't matter who's beside her. It's probably a little harder, and it would be a little more charged and interesting to see if Julie is there with her. But I like that idea of her
Mama
seeing.
Julie take her? Because she was friends with everybody, too.
No, because Dee's story is going to top Julie every time. Every time it's just a top. But you wouldn't be here if I hadn't. Remember when that's Dee and Julie's story to Austin too. You wouldn't even have found an immunity idol if we hadn't helped you. And you were the first to try to attempt to actively deceive us. So please don't be mad if I turn the tables on you. Because I can totally see her dropping that day 2, day 3 story on him with regards to finding that idol. And he would be like, what? I don't even remember that.
And Austin wasn't trying to save Julie. Austin, at least the edit showed us, he was just trying not to upset Dee. He wasn't trying to save Julie. He was okay with going after Julie.
Right.
But he just didn't want Dee to be mad at him.
Right.
So they did turn first and earlier than they agreed on, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's the game.
Okay. Finish giving us Dee.
Oh, let's see. Let me go from 5 instead.
All right.
That's more interesting. So who goes out 5th is Austin. No, I mean, it's more interesting for me to work through it that way.
I stuck my tongue out, Eddie.
Yes. So Austin going out at 5th. Hurt Dee sending him, or Jake somehow, sending him to the jury to be a vote for Dee. Dee doing that, it would just be so splendid. That would be the cherry on top of her
You're
win.
evil.
And it makes sense though. And she could she'll totally win him back with her final jury speech. And then I think that would be good. And then Jake will fumble, he'll pass out trying to make fire against Keturah. So then he's out 4, and then you got Dee, Julie, and Keturah. Keturah's not going to get anything in that scenario because the Dee, Julie women win is more significant. Even if she goes to her story somehow, there's just nothing. She had no agency. She didn't even have the social game to be included by her tribe, which Caleb, Bruce, Kelly, they might remind her of that. That she's got that's just really hard to get past them and her history. There's nothing for her. Maybe there's somebody who throws a vote towards Julie. Maybe Drew would, just to mix things up so it's not a complete shutout, but then Dee wins.
So you did all of that to say the exact same selection that I made.
Now the exciting one for me, the more exciting one, is Jake takes out Dee at 5. She goes at 5.
Whoa.
And then he somehow wins immunity and sends... Who's he going to send? Who's more significant to send? Send Julie. Yeah, this is what I was talking about before. To fire making, where he faces off with her. Now he comes back and sits with Austin and Keturah. Then it's a little bit more difficult. Then you've got that there's an odd chance that the women majority on the jury would just throw it towards Keturah and she wins. I don't know that would be a satisfying season.
So you don't think Jake would have a chance at winning?
I think he has a chance. I think he gets some votes if he does that. Because sitting beside Austin is probably a pretty good thing. Austin got there easy. Jake got there not easy. He got there through the grace of others because their focus was elsewhere. And then he was able to power in with this particular sequence of events.
Well, you're right. If that were to happen and it was Austin, Jake, and Keturah, then there would be
I still think Austin's
women.
Yeah, Austin's got no
jury.
chance. You got 5 women on the jury, and they could throw it to Keturah, which would be Keturah getting to pull the football out from under Jake, so he couldn't kick it one last time for the win, and then Keturah wins. Keturah, Jake, and then Austin in third.
Don't you think Dee would rather give it to Austin if she wasn't able to win?
No, not necessarily.
I think she would give him her vote if he were
She
there.
might throw a vote that way, yeah. I don't think she would see him necessarily as the winner.
Well, it doesn't matter if that's who she gives her vote to. That's what
Yeah.
she was shooting for.
Yeah.
But-
There's still other... That makes it a little harder between Jake and Keturah in that case. That would be an interesting... And then, of course, the all-lawyer final 3 would be a first. That would be historical and interesting when Julie and Keturah drop those bombs. You know, Keturah would drop it first because she's thought she's been deceiving Jake this whole time, and then Julie would drop it after Keturah that she too was a lawyer.
After all the things Keturah said to Jake, it could render him speechless.
Yeah,
if she dropped
it would definitely knock him for a loop.
It might actually hurt him, you know, and because I think he could probably he'd do a lot of talking to make a case for himself, and he might do okay with it. So, but anyway, I don't see any of that really happening, but it certainly would shake things up.
Yeah. See, Julie's been a lawyer
I would
longer.
enjoy that.
Yeah.
Julie's been a lawyer longer.
Yeah, a little bit longer. I think she's been going about 5 years. So I think Jake just got started, and
He's not
Katura's
really started yet. He's past the bar, but I don't think he's really practicing yet.
Well, I think he said he was assigned to like juvenile court or something like that. So he might have got a little in. But yeah, and then Katura's probably got the next most experience. So that would be interesting to see the lawyers face off like that. And that would be something to have D and Austin out of it too.
That was Jake's thing, was saying, if I get to Final Three,
well, I'm a lawyer.
I can talk. I'm a lawyer. I know how to get up and talk and present a case and blah, blah. I can do. And then to hear he's going up against two other attorneys that have more experience.
Right. He's going to give his opening statement, think that he's really nailed it, and then here comes two.
But we have to remember that Julie doesn't go before a court to present.
That's true. She's as a state law.
Yeah.
Normally, probably not in a courtroom.
Yeah. They don't usually do that. Doesn't mean she didn't learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Or that Julie just naturally would be good at that. Mm-hmm. I think she's just wise enough that she could pull it together. And Katura's probably had by far the most experience in presenting cases.
Yeah, that's true.
Because she defends people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, interesting thoughts.
Yeah, I love all of this. Thanks, everybody, for giving us all these variations and different ideas to consider. It does seem like Dee's pretty much got it in the bag, but there are
not if they take her out.
Other paths that make it fun to think about along the way as we wait for that finale. So we appreciate everybody sending in their thoughts and predictions and their ideas and observations. We have enjoyed it, and we always appreciate hearing from all of you. Want to say a big thanks to Kim D for your donation, your support there. We greatly appreciate that, and it goes towards our operating costs. Thank you so much.
And if you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your finale picks for your final 5 order. Who will go out in 5th place will determine how many points you get for it. If you get it correct and you have enough safe picks on all of these people, then you will receive 5 points. If it's not correct, you'll get 3 points unless you don't have enough safes on the other people as well. So, but it'll be most likely 5 points or 3 points for 5th place. And then in the final 4, you have a possibility of 50 points if you get the order correctly, not to mention your USB points.
If you're fortunate enough.
If you have one.
To have a USB still in the game, yeah.
I do not.
Nor do I.
Yeah. So that's not an option for us. But so no matter where you are in JSFL,
get those
just
picks
remember, you can make a lot of points in the finale.
Yes.
So hang in there.
And it's very easy to select your order. So that was a complicated explanation, but it's trivial to go in and figure out what the order is.
Well, a lot of people have been asking. Mm-hmm. I haven't been on Facebook as much lately, but I did see that somebody had asked and Steve had answered for them. So thanks, Steve.
Anything else?
No, I think we've covered it backwards and forwards.
Well, and with more to come, I'm sure, between now and Wednesday. We are absolutely looking forward to the finale, and we'll be back on Wednesday with our recap after that reunion show, after the finale and the reunion portion of it.
Yeah.
Not reunion, the after party. That's what they call it.
Party, yeah.
Struggling to remember what they called
Used
it.
to be reunion.
Yeah, the after party.
Formerly known as reunion.
So we'll do that recap on Wednesday. Looking forward to it. Have a good one.